Hey everybody. Let's just double check here. Yes. Alright. We're live with audio. Hey, how's it going, y'all? This is a live show, as you can see. I'm also the producer, so you get what you pay for. It's 4 o'clock. This is Facebook. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. We do this twice a week these days, Sundays and Wednesdays, right here. And I'll post a timestamp copy of this show up on YouTube later and on Twitter. It's nice and convenient. Just search for Jimmy Doane, D-O-A-N-E. We're like the top 5 coming in there. So today is the 19th of April, 2020. I'm in the studio with Dr. Doane. What's happening?
Well, there's a lot of things happening, actually. So a lot of it's anecdotal. We're going to talk about a lot of it. But I just thought I'd mention one thing, and that is hair.
Hair, okay.
Who's getting haircuts these days? You know, when I think about it, I think about, everybody is sequestered. Oh, I want to say welcome, by the way, to people who are sequestering at home and watching the show. They've decided... No, I mean, there's a bunch of people. They got nothing else to do. They're home. They're stuck. Not they can't go out shopping, so they decided to stay home and fire up the old Jimmy Doane Show here.
There you go.
At 4 o'clock.
We're here for you.
Hi, Elliot. So anyway, the deal is that when you think about it, all those people, all of the talking heads, and all the people on the not only talk shows, but the news people and the comedy people, they all have hairdressers.
Right.
I mean, before they go on, you think about it.
Johnny, we're talking about this, they're all doing their own.
But Johnny Carson was on for 30 years, and you know that his hair didn't change. I mean, it took a different color and everything. But basically, every day he'd go in 5 nights a week, whatever it is, and they would trim a micron off of it because he looked the same. He looked the same every day. So you think about it. These guys are on, and this is their job. To make sure that you look exactly the same every night, and you think about all of those people, the news people, the people that are now they're at home,
right? So
they're going to start to look pretty shabby.
Well, yeah. Well, we said they're doing their own makeup. They're looking a little plasticky, a little reminiscent of the first Batman movie when the Joker put out the chemicals in all of the products.
Yeah. And
none of the newscasters could wear any of the.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was.
Well, oh yeah. Well, of course. What is interesting about this is guys. It's one thing. I mean, although I don't know if you're a guy and you're on the news every day. I suppose it doesn't take too long for you to start to show.
Sure.
But the women. We're talking about major facial. Well, I know we talked about this, but still, it's getting worse. I mean, it's getting to the point now where I'm looking at myself, for instance. I know that Ms. Jimmy said, you gonna get your hair cut. I'm thinking, no. So you.
Right.
I mean, I would guess that one of the things that some of the high-end barbers are going to do, they're going to dress up in the shield. What do you call it? Category 4 biohazard suits to give you.
Hey, it's over.
Yeah, well,
I'm calling it.
Well, you can call it all you want, and we have a local. Let me just make sure I got my interest stuff here. Oh yeah, okay. Interestingly enough, it's not quite over yet. It is here in Florida. I noticed. Now, this is one of the things that's interesting is we got a leader in California and a leader in Florida. DeSantis, whatever it is, has temporarily sort of opened up Jacksonville Beach.
Well, yeah.
As of yesterday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you saw the fake picture going around, right?
Well, there was that, but I saw some of I saw some non-fake pictures.
Yeah. Well, there was the video from the local Coast News, which had drone footage of the beach.
Oh, is that right?
Which was a lot clearer, as opposed to the New York Times photo, which was like at eye level, catching everybody.
Right.
Focused. The particular focus.
Focus from here to infinity.
Seriously, that's what they did.
They were down in Daytona Beach in perfect focus.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, it was pretty much looked like,
Well, anyway, people make a mad to hear. I'm reading the headline from one of the rags that is, liberal.
Mm-hmm. See, this is what it looked like there.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it looked like. Not quite. People flocked to reopen the beach at Jacksonville, Florida on Friday afternoon after officials partially lifted restrictions. Now, I don't know what they meant by partially. Aimed at slowing the spread of the coronavirus. They were biking, they were running, they were swimming, they were surfing, they were fishing. Some of them, a lot of people brought their dogs. She continued. This was one of the people that was sitting there bemoaning how people had, had decided.
Oh my God, they're going out. Yeah.
They're biking. They brought their dogs. And,
yeah.
Wait a minute. It was as if they had been cooped up for 10 years. And it's only been a month or two.
Yeah,
and, and of course, this reminded me, when I think about it, not that humans are like dogs or anything, but you do know that if you leave your house to go shopping and you come home and your dog thinks you've been gone forever.
Right. Well, in his years, you've been.
You're right. Exactly. In his years, that's right. Or her. Okay. It's because they only closed this beach on March 20th. So, Kay, whoever this girl is, says there was not a whole lot of social distancing going on, with some groups set up in the sand beach with coolers and other people sunbathing.
Right.
A surfer interviewed by CNN, now this is the CNN, right where they are, said they would not be surprised if easing the restrictions did not last very long, given the number of people who arrived. In other words, what happened is we opened the beaches up a little bit and too many people. Now we're going to really close it down. What I thought was interesting, in a way, when you think about it, one of the things you do on beach is social interaction. Well, if you're a stud guy or something, you walk over to the chick's blanket.
Throw your frisbee over there.
Yeah, right. You walk over, hey, honey, what you doing? That's out. That's gone. That's history. The girl's gonna say, get out of here.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
I mean, no touchy.
Yeah. Well, of course. Look, of course. You can't assume that all those people are idiots and that they're out there.
They do.
Well, I know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Everybody assumed that. Look. Trust me, it's a cross-section of people. Everybody's being safe. They're watching out for their own health. Look, there's a lot of things that are great ideas, which make terrible laws.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody should have a dog.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It would be a terrible, terrible law.
Yeah.
Everybody should exercise every day.
Yeah.
Everybody should go to church every week. Okay, but you wouldn't want to make a law of any of those things. This is the same kind of thing. Everybody should take reasonable precautions to care for their own health and the health of their loved ones. Well, of course they're going to.
Unless you're suicidal.
Well, exactly.
Other than that.
But but you don't need it to be a law.
No, I know. No, you don't.
But the problem is that we've distorted our legal system at this point, and we have now created crimes of potentiality. We have pre-crimes and we have accident crimes.
Majority report.
Exactly, minority report.
Minority report.
We've got that kind of stuff, and so we have crimes in the book where people say, well, you didn't hurt anybody, you didn't try to hurt anybody, but you could have hurt somebody, even if you didn't mean to.
Right.
Like DUI.
DUI is a perfectly, even when you have a DUI where there's a crash, for instance.
Right.
Okay, well, you crashed into a tree.
Again,
bad.
Accident.
And
they create this fiction where they say we transfer your intent as though that's a thing in the universe. You can't transfer somebody's intent to do one thing into their intent to do something else. It just isn't. The word transfer doesn't work that way.
I don't understand what you're saying, because I do know that if a comet hits the Earth, that's because the comet intended to hit the Earth.
Right.
There's an intent there.
Yeah. Well, this is it's terrible. I don't know how they do it. They get away with it though, but they've done it, and so we have people saying things like, "Well, you might spread the disease to me." And so you have to stay locked in your house.
Well, not only that, what they're
we don't even know if you have it. You don't know if you have it. You don't feel like you have it. No. But we still have to lock you away because there's a chance that you might negligently give it to me. That's not a thing. That's not how. That you could say that about anything. You could say, well, when you go out today to drive your car, you might get an accident and kill somebody. So we have to lock you in your house today. And the odds are about the same in terms of the coronavirus or an accident, death by car. So if you're going to let people out to drive, you have to let them out for stuff like this. I mean, this is...
Well, the other thing they do is they even do another level of shifting, and that is you're out here and you might catch the coronavirus and go home and give it to your grandmother.
Right, yeah.
I'm worried about your grandma. Why don't you shut up and mind your own business? You know.
But yeah, they were going to enforce social distancing within people's homes.
There's 6 degrees of separation. You know, you give it to your kid, and then grandma, and so forth, and then grandma got it, and blah, 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 and the next thing you know, I got it. And I'm going to, well...
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This is all potentiality, and it has nothing to do with actual crime, which requires some type of criminal intent. And you have to rely on people to take care of themselves and their loved ones. If we can't have a law for that, what are you going to do? Go around and arrest people again? And then listen, you know, with the healthcare, if they had universal healthcare, do not be surprised if they pass universal healthcare that one element of it will be some type of exercise.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. That's right. Yeah, did you do? You wear your little wrist thing.
Exactly.
And you know, and we can check it.
That's it.
I mean, it's like in Logan's Run, you know, you got the little thing in your hand. But I mean, we you know, as you walk past, like you walk out of the stores with the little checker thing there that tells you if you've stolen something.
Right.
And you walk, and then as far as the doctor's office, and it keeps checking you to make sure you've done enough steps. You didn't do 1,000 steps today. So anyway, but anyway,
it's already on your phone.
That's right. Yeah, it's already on your phone. Totally. Yeah.
But they can do it retroactively too. They could be like, well, you didn't exercise for the last few years, so you're going to have
measured your blubber.
Something.
Blubber. What's interesting is that then on the other coast, in San Clemente.
Yes, saw that.
In San Clemente, a state park filled with sand to keep skaters. Well, now what happened is apparently there's a skate park.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're huge. They're monster things. And the kids go out. Kids who are impervious to death. Now think about it for a second. You're a kid on a skateboard. You're doing 80 miles an hour down this thing. You do a flip and you come around and maybe you have a helmet on. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you talk about death defying. You talk about somebody who might die, who go into, you know.
Oh, we don't want you to get sick. Kid.
We don't want, well, not only. So we don't want you to get sick because there's too many kids. You might get killed. You might end up like, what's his name? Christopher Reeve. You know.
Right.
Or something like that. But
before we take you on the skydiving trip, we're gonna have to take everybody's temperature.
That's right. So here's the deal. So what they did is they poured. Let's see what they did here. They poured 37 tons of sand in the skate park, and the reason is, I mean, now you think about it for a second. Where the sand went, when you think about a skate park, of course, it's down and up. It's like a big bowl. It's several bowls, whatever it is. And of course, as soon as you come down the hill, and you know, because you can't go through the.
Well,
sand.
yeah. Well, in their defense, they were originally just going to put a bunch of pebbles in there. No, I'm kidding.
How about shards of glass?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we're going to
broken glass. That was the third suggestion.
That was the third suggestion.
Yeah, and
we're going to recycle
it back to sand.
That's right. That's right. Well, sand is glass.
That's right.
So
the boiling oil was out.
Yeah, boiling oil is out because you have to keep it hot.
Yeah.
And spikes. They have too much trouble.
Yeah, there's cleanup.
Yeah, but what we could have done was just to take part of our recycling was to take all the bottles and smash them in there. That's right, fun. You know, television picture tube.
Oh man,
that's right. Fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah, they would pay for itself with the video.
Boy, that's right. That's right. And so anyway, I thought this was interesting because they closed on April 1st to discourage. I like to discourage. And I'm thinking, you know, you got these kids that are 13, 12, 11, whatever it is, and as far as they're concerned, they're never going to die. I mean, you talk to a kid, you talk to a 10-year-old about death, and as far as they're concerned, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, well, it's prevention. They didn't just discourage it.
No, I know that. Well,
they prevented it.
So anyway, they said apparently they tried to contact some nonprofit organization to kind of patrol the place or something, and but they couldn't get a hold of them or whatever it is. Anyway,
many of them were
3 to 4 inches deep to cover the surface, and of course that Wiley, the mayor, whoever she is, said there was no city cost incurred. Nothing, didn't cost us a dime. It came from the city yard, which was recycled from closed tot lots around the town. Now these tot lots where the kids would play, the tots, you know, in sand.
Yeah.
So we closed them, and we got all the sand out of there so they wouldn't be able to play in the sand. Right. And that's the sand we used to fill in.
Right. Well, what about the salaries of all the people?
Oh no! Wait, no cost. No cost. And it says it was put in there by maintenance workers, and there will be no cost to remove it. because
Right.
they're maintenance workers.
Right. Yeah.
So
and they don't.
So this
absorb-
it's all free.
They don't eat.
No, hell no. They're still on the. But that's we're not going to. I sat there and I think about this is the difference between DeSantis in Florida. We're going to open up the beaches and see what happens, and this here they are in San Clemente skate park.
We're filling it in.
That's it. We're filling.
Well, at
it
least
in.
they didn't do it with cement. They.
Yeah, that's another thing. Well, I did see what was it? I guess one of the presidents in the White House filled in the bowling alley, or filled in the pool to make a bowling alley or something in the basement. In the
Yeah.
whatever, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, pandemic case said okay. Now it's interesting. In Australia, we're not out of the woods. That is to say, there are crazy things happen all over the country, all over the world.
What?
A $5,000 coughing fine is extended to protect all workers in New South Wales. This is a fairly large province in Australia. A $5,000 on-the-spot fine for spitting or coughing on health workers has been expanded to include other essential workers on the state's coronavirus.
Now this is an intentional cough, right? Like when
or spitting, right?
Right.
And on other essential workers. In other words, not only the health workers,
Right.
and maintenance people or whatever doing their job filling in the skate park,
Right.
but I guess non-essential workers who happen to be. And of course, you wonder. There's so many things that I think about this. $5,000 seems a little pricey. Number. It's on the spot. So I mean,
What does that mean?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I mean, give me your arm.
Yeah, if you don't have it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? So jail.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really bad because the state of New South Wales now. For those of you looking at a map of Australia, New South Wales is as big as the United States. I mean, it's big.
Right.
I'm being a little facetious, but it's Texas-sized or something.
Okay.
And there have been the coronavirus death toll has hit 29.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. 29. Okay, this is bad. This is bad. But apparently, I thought that was interesting when I read on here. Police will be able to find people who target all types of workers, not just those. Wait a minute here. Hold on a second. Not just those in emergency services or healthcare. If you have a city whatever uniform on and you what, $5,000. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's really just an extension of crimes that have been in place for a long time, which is you can't intentionally give somebody some kind of disease that if you know you have it and you go.
Didn't know I had it.
Well, there's that, and then there's also the concept of it's a little bit of an expansion, and obviously $5,000 that's an expansion.
Yeah. Retail Workers Union said they've borne the brunt that its members, that is to say the Retail Workers Union. Now apparently there's a lot of other unions, the cashiers, checkout people and so forth, are in unions also. They're not like they are here, where it's not like you're sophomore in college or something to get a job bagging. Anyway, Retail Workers Union said its members had borne the brunt of a huge upsurge in customer abuse during the pandemic. And of course, I'm wondering to myself, well, what kind of philosophy, what kind of society is it? When you talk about abuse, I mean, you'd go up here to the Publix or something like. They worship those people. I mean, everybody is saying thank you.
Yeah, look, that's the language that they put in bills to advertise for the passage of the bill.
Yeah.
They say, look, there's this horrible problem, and it's so bad, and they're beating the cashiers at Publix, and everybody who walks by spits on the cashier. And so we have to pass a law against it.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, that's ridiculous. I mean, literally nobody who knows that they've got that disease is going to go cough on somebody.
No way. No.
It's 0.1%. It's such a tiny percentage of people.
Well, those people would obviously be psychopaths.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's the people who are already going to pick up a hammer and smash somebody in the head.
Exactly. The reports of supermarket and other retail workers being coughed and spat on over the past weeks are becoming disturbingly common, says Shop, whatever he's employs, a union worker or some secretary said in the
If
statement.
they would just let them raise the damn price so that there wouldn't be shortages and stuff.
Well, not only that, I mean, the fact is that here, locally, you'd be hard-pressed to spit on anybody here in the stores because they all have got their little shields up now.
They got their shields up, yeah. But
You
still,
just-
like
I mean,
you
this-
said, nobody...
I look at this and I thought to
it's a
myself...
non-issue.
Totally a non-issue, but I thought this was interesting, that the difference between you have to pass a law for this, and
you don't. This is another one of those things. You don't have to pass a law for stuff like this. And it's like people saying, well, DeSantis is trying to kill all these people and blood on his hands. Look, he didn't tell people to go out. He said you can.
Right.
That means you still have to use your judgment.
Right.
If you're going to freaking die from it, don't go out.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it, don't go out. If you're worried about it, protect yourself. I mean, there's a bunch of different things you can do.
Well, except the major thing that you have to understand is that our rulers are way smarter than we are, and they know that we're stupid.
These people are hanging on their favorite government officials or least favorite government officials every tweet, and it's like, look, you just use your judgment. The information is out there. Everybody knows the same information. If you want a doctor's opinion, they're all over the web. You can watch a million different YouTube videos from epidemiologists and everything on what to do and how to prepare.
A million sounds a little high.
500,000.
500,000 I can buy. I'll buy 500,000.
There's 1,000,002. I counted them.
I have one little headline that I picked out in the middle here. 65% of U.S. adults say Donald Trump was too slow to respond to the COVID-19. This is a poll taken by somebody, okay?
By CNN or something.
Right, whatever. But I thought this was 65%, like, so what, number one.
Surprised.
And of course, when I look at it, you think about how fast could you have come in? When you realize that literally at the end of January, there was maybe one death. Okay, this was not that long ago.
Yeah.
And so now you're supposed to close down the whole country because you're panic-stricken that... when I think about...
Well, look, here's the deal. As we talked about this a few times, the difference between this particular disease and the prior ones is that we were told that there were these great unknowns, and the unknowns stretched into very ridiculous, dangerous categories. I mean, if this thing had come out as a 5 on the transmissibility and killed 10% of the people, then right now we'd be looking at hundreds of thousands of deaths across the nation. So it was because nobody knew. And as I said before, 10%, that's a normal run-of-the-mill flu. You can get 50% from a disease. I mean, Ebola, 66%. Rabies kills 100% if you don't get treated.
Really?
Yeah. You get rabies, you get treated, or you die. I mean, that's the kind of stuff.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so there's and I misquoted the Hong Kong flu numbers last time. The Hong Kong flu was only 10% also, but even so, the point is you can get a lot more deadly than this, and nobody knew. So there was just a question. And also, we've been kind of anticipating a pandemic for a while because of the population explosion.
Well, yeah, that's another article I read said that people have been worrying about this pandemic for almost 20 years.
Yeah, I mean,
it's coming, it's coming, look out.
You think about air travel didn't even start until the 30s. I mean, in any big way.
Yeah.
And,
it wasn't until the jets. 60s.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've had 40, 50 years for these diseases to work their way from some little rural town up to a population center like New York.
Right.
So it's been on the plate, so to speak. So when it reared its ugly head, everybody says, okay, go home for a few weeks, no problem, we'll just wait and see. But now that the numbers are out, and I think we're still waiting to see, there's more and more reports about the antibodies populations being larger than the official report numbers. I saw another one.
Yeah, I read some stuff on that. That's like in the weeds talking
still,
stuff.
Totally. But it could easily come out that way, whereby we all realize, oh, we already all had it, and we've got antibodies, and it wasn't that big of a deal, wasn't that deadly, and we go back to whatever. But either way, you got to let individuals make up their minds there.
That's the main thing. It is interesting because the experts are all over the place.
Well, that's the whole
They're
point.
talking about 1.5 years for a vaccine. What are you going to do for 1.5 years?
Yeah, and look, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's no guarantee of any vaccine.
Right.
I mean, this is just that's a theoretical.
Yeah, they're talking about this one being different from the other ones.
Okay.
Apparently, the way they've taken, when you see a picture of it, it looks like a soccer ball with pins all over it.
Yeah.
Well, this is not the Ebola one. When you looked at, it looked like a worm.
Yeah, like a note, a quarter note or something.
Quarter note, right? Exactly.
Yeah, well, they're interesting. Yeah, I had a great graphic of the size of the various things, and there's one that looks so cool. It's like a hexagonal thing, like it looks like a lunar lander
Yes.
creature.
It's from the moon.
Man, it is badass. But anyway.
Okay, so I just thought that when I see one of the things we've had this time that we didn't even have even as recently as 2013 or whatever was the media. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. There were 3 networks, and you had a daily newspaper.
Yeah.
And basically.
Yeah. Now it's 24/7. There's 50 different channels and everything.
And of course, a lot of the newspaper. I think I mentioned this. People that know me are going to say, "What, you still subscribe to the paper here in this liberal screamy town?" Well, they gave me a deal I couldn't turn down. Is what it boiled down to. So I had to do it. And of course, they're TDS people, Trump derangement syndrome, and so forth. But
horse head in the bed. There's what you got there. Huh?
So yeah, and of course, it's little skinny paper these days. So it's kind of interesting. But I was going to make a point on something, and I forgot.
Well, the news, you were saying the media were bombarded this time.
Yeah. Even in the newspaper, a lot of it is from the Associated Press, or somebody's news media, and the local. If you want to call it the local news, is like 2 articles for the whole paper, just about.
Yeah.
And all the sports, everything's off the wires these days. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great that people are getting, an education in critical thinking.
That's another thing.
You have to review your sources these days. You can't just take stuff. Even the New York Times. Today, the New York Times tweeted the bogus picture of the Jacksonville Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
The New York Times. I mean, and
the newspaper of record.
All that's fit to print, whatever it is, the authority, and so I had to attach the local Jacksonville flyover of the drone from the New Coast News 1 or whatever it is, which had the actual thing, and I don't know. The New York Times photo wasn't an actual photo of the Jacksonville Beach at some particular time, but the way that it was taken was the perspective of eye level, so that you can see a ton of people.
It is interesting. You go through even the local paper or whatever it is. Very often you'll see a picture, and there'll be a headline, and then when you read it, these people are in another country or something.
Right. Well, that's been more and more common with the internet right now. You have to wait. Any photograph you see, if you don't wait one day to see if the counter photograph comes out, you jump into.
Well, not only that, they use it as an example. They say, this is the kind of thing. It's not exactly here, but this is.
Well, did you see DeSantis putting on the mask?
No.
So there's a short video of DeSantis putting on a mask. And he takes a mask and he puts it over, and he takes a strap and he puts it over his head. And there's another strap hanging down here.
Right.
Well, everybody assumed that this was one of the masks that you're supposed to put over your ears. But it's not. It just happens to be turned. It looks like that. So everybody's posting this thing about what a dumbass DeSantis is, and no, it's actually the right mask, the right way apparently now. But I mean, he didn't put the other strap on, which he was supposed to do, allegedly. And again, for all I know, that second video is bogus. Talking about the first thing, I've never seen a mask that goes around your neck like that. What are you talking about?
Well, what I find interesting is the calumny, to coin a word, or not to say a word, that DeSantis receives, I'm thinking is people don't understand how close we came to having Gillum. Who is a criminal.
Well, so he parties with his
hooker friend and crack people. Right. I mean, give me a break. Can you imagine? It'd be like having...
well, he might not have gone down that path if he had...
yeah, right.
Maybe that was...
well, of course, he was already some serious investigation in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he narrowly lost.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I'm fine with what DeSantis is doing. As far as I'm concerned, freedom's the way to go.
Of course, it's racist for me to say this.
The Swedish model is the way we should be going.
They do talk a lot about the Swedish model, and what's interesting, of course, is that who's not talking about the Swedish model?
Who's that?
Bernie.
Oh yeah,
Bernie loves the Swedes.
Yeah,
this is the way we need to do things. This is whatever and I'm sitting there saying,
well, I haven't heard anything from Bernie.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
but he's obviously gone into the wallpaper or something.
Yeah, a little bit.
So anyway, go ahead. And I'm moving along. The growth in surveillance may be hard to scale back after the pandemic. Now we all know this, that one of the things that happened, especially during critical times, during wartime and so forth, lots of the stuff that gets passed, as constitutional amendments get roughshod over, and the courts go along with it, but they never really get totally rolled back.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do occasionally, but only in extreme, like after a war or something.
Well, one of the problems, this is, people are calling this a war, number one, and what they're finding is that a lot of this stuff is the new normal. If you are under surveillance for, say, for instance, since 9/11, which is almost 2 decades now, and you got kind of used to it. I mean, you think about the number of cameras that are on the streets these days.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've talked about this before. I mean, people who are worried about surveillance, I think, are about 20 years too late. If they want to surveil you, you can be surveilled. The only thing that's protecting us all from surveillance are the numbers. The fact is that there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And so it takes one person. How many people can one person surveil? So, I mean, even if you have 100,000 people...
No, wait a minute. First of all, we already have, as we have with license tag recognition and facial recognition, and there's that show on TV where they show the people all looking at the faces and everything. But that can all be done with AI.
Yeah, but it can be kept track of and recorded with AI. But the only way somebody can do something about it is if some human goes and looks at the data.
No, there's an alert. Come on, it's like
alert to a human.
Right, but what I'm saying is that
it can only alert so many humans and so many activities before all the humans are busy checking up on alerts. At some point, you have to have a human interface. The computer's not going to file a case or go down and arrest anybody or anything like that.
Wait a minute.
Yet, till it sends the drone. Once the computer sends the drone to arrest the person, then we are humped in a huge way.
But anyway, what they said was most of these measures do not have sunset clauses. They're wide open.
Yeah, sure.
And even so, sometimes when they say when the emergency is over, then we'll go ahead and unpass the law. Well, they don't. They never do.
Right.
One of the things they did when you think about during the second. Well, no, 2 things. There was an emergency. There was a special surtax on telephones in the 1920s that was going to pay for the long distance cables and everything. That's still on. And then there was withholding for your taxes was passed in 1943. To make sure that the government got funded. That has, of course, never gone away either. That was a wartime measure.
Sure. Well, yeah, they've piled them on, and very, very occasionally one will be repeated, one small...
Well, there's always, unfortunately, a small, very vocal minority who say this is the best thing. And I've talked about this many times about the nun whippers.
Yeah. I
mean, the fact is that you could pass an ordinance that said we're gonna lash the nuns in the courthouse square on Sundays at noon, and hit them with a whip or whatever. And then finally, after a couple of weeks, people say, "Wait, this is not right." Well, you'd find some people that would say, "Wait a minute, that was a good law when it was passed. We need to think about this for a second."
Yeah, well,
especially the people holding the whip.
I don't know what more they could do except for, as they've talked about, you have an app on your phone which keeps track of whether or not you're within a few feet of somebody else.
Right.
And at the same time, it's got a database as to who's got the virus and who doesn't. And I know that's a HIPAA violation. They're not going that far because
you don't think so?
No, because
I thought they were already doing that.
Well, but they're talking about it. But the thing is that there is a
How long is it between talking about it and doing it?
Well, in this particular case, I think it's a bridge, and the reason is because there's a huge statute that's in place that is everywhere called HIPAA, which is like a layer of protection for your information, and it's such a thick layer that it often prevents you.
That's the privacy,
exactly.
Your health care privacy thing.
Exactly, Health Information Privacy Protection Act.
You're right, and of course that's one of the things that actually can be bad because I know that you go to your doctor and
Sorry, I can't tell you what's wrong with
Can't tell you. No, well, none of that. I got all my records over here at this other hospital.
Can't have them. They're right here in this folder, but I can't. I could hand them to you, but I can't.
Well, he was telling me the other day, for instance, that I was supposed to get a scan or something, and I said, "Can't they just send it?" No, I had to get the DVD.
That's
and
right.
Walk it
you
over
have to
there.
come over and get a retina freaking yanked.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, that's the.
So they could do that theoretically. They could have that kind of thing, but that's getting very, very close to your papers, please.
Well, what's interesting is we already have, and we've had for years at least, something when you get close to one of your friends, it comes up. You can sit there and say, "Who's near me?"
Yeah, well, I've looked for those apps a couple of times, and I guess they must be out there, but I don't know.
There are a ton of them out there, and I mean they've been around forever.
Yeah,
I mean a long time.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah. The other person has to link with you, though, is what it is. It's not like everybody who has this app. I'm gonna get. I don't think yet. I think you have to acquiesce to the contact.
Well, interesting you should say that because you don't on Waze.
Right.
If you have the Waze app,
yeah,
you're on.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Waze people haven't been contacted to adapt their app at this point.
Well, I'm saying. I mean, you think about it, driving down the highway, literally. I mean, on my thing, the little button pops up there everywhere.
Yeah.
It's interesting. All right, moving along. We're talking about Biden now.
Oh, yes, Biden.
The choice between the economy and health is false choice. Now, I didn't transcript this thing. It's about a 2-minute video. And unfortunately, they didn't have a transcript of it. But what it was he said that we can have both, the economy and health. And the way he talked about it was gibberish, absolute gibberish. And what he said was we're gonna do it this way and we're gonna do it that way and we're gonna have both. And I'm sitting there, wait a minute, what are you
forwards, not backwards?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, really, it's unbelievable. And to think there was English words, right, and there were sentences and there was a couple of phrases in there and a comma or two.
Well, so here's the question: we've been seeing a lot of this recently. The question is, are we seeing selective video rolls of Joe just in the gaff, wallowing around in the gaff pool, or is this actually the way he speaks these days? Because everybody's promoting the one. Every time he makes a simple mistake, like right there, I change in the middle of my sentence or something. I shift sentences. I say one time, or I go back and repeat myself or something like that. Is that going to be considered now? I mean, is that all we see? Are we just seeing more of that, or is he really doing more of that?
Well, here's the deal. I watched this 2.5-minute or 3-minute video, and it was scripted. Okay. There were no gaffes.
Okay.
But you had to actually use what they called creative thinking on it to realize those actual English words and how they were and what did they actually mean, and it was nothing.
So he was just reading like...
Well, he was reading it. You could tell he was reading it. Right. Because he would look down every once in a while. But he was trying to look honest and everything about it. But the problem is, and somebody else was talking about this, they're saying, well, we have to, in order to get a hold of this stuff, we have to involve ourselves more in critical thinking. Well, if you critically thought what he actually had to say, it was gibberish. And I recognize it because I'm an old person and
Well, usually, though, that's what politicians say. I mean,
I know that. But this was his 2.5-minute statement that was on everything, and this is why we should vote for him, and this is why you need to vote for me, and so forth. And I'm sitting there thinking, if you look at what he actually said, the meaning of what he said, that's the reason. It wasn't a gaffe. It wasn't stumbling around or anything like that. It sort of made sense. It reminded me...
That's just bad policy, though, right? I mean, that's different from what I'm thinking is... I mean, there's a clip of him with Sanjay Gupta and Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
And he speaks for about 30 seconds, and you can see they're just like... They're kind of waiting for him, like, come on, Joe, you can get through this thought.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing speaks to whether or not he has the mental facilities these days or faculties, I guess. See, that's the way. See, he said facilities.
Boom.
He meant faculties.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that kind of thing.
Well, what he said was, said in a scenario in which one must prioritize the economy separately from public health is a false choice.
Okay.
That's what he said. One must prioritize the economy separately.
I agree with that.
Huh?
I said I agree with that. I mean,
we must prioritize the. Let's see. It says the scenario is when you prioritize the economy separately from public choice is a false choice.
Right.
So what he's saying is that they're supposed to be considered together.
Well, I mean, I think he's trying to have it both ways. But I mean, actually, I would imagine that, I mean, Joe's position has to be opposite of Trump's, so I would think he would still be on the side of shut down, keep the economy closed, and he would be saying it's a false choice because we have to focus on health, and you're not allowed to consider the economy.
Right. Well, of course,
when you say it's a false choice, that's like that's not saying that. That's saying that you don't have to choose between these two. That you can have it both ways, and that's actually what Trump's saying, which is let the people go out there, you get your dang economy back, and you'll still have some measure of health, and you have to have both of them, and you can't. It can't be one or the other. I just think that his choice of words,
yeah, I know,
was bad.
Separate is a false choice, so you don't prioritize the economy. Okay, maybe. All right, I maybe read that wrong. That's it. What I know.
I think that they pitched him wrong. I think that they used those words. Joe has a lot of euphemisms that he uses all the time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's got little things he says, like it's a hard dog to get out from under the porch or whatever it is. He says,
really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know who was famous for that was what was the newscaster guy? He was the guy that had the fake papers on Nixon or on one of those people that not morally safe, but Dan Rather. Dan Rather is from Texas.
Okay.
He got his claim to fame when he was covering Kennedy's death.
Okay.
And well, it's like the wild pig down there snorting, and everything
Exactly.
He's got a little thing for that.
Yeah. So Joe has a few of these. So I mean, saying it's a false choice, I think that's just the wrong.
Well, what's interesting is Maduro.
He
We're gonna
meant
go down.
bad choice.
Let's go down to Venezuela.
Okay.
Maduro says Venezuela. Let's see. The elections are not a priority amid the virus. So what he says is, well,
amigos.
yeah, guess what? We're not having elections because
it's dangerous.
Danger, that's right. And well, when you think about it, well, of course they had a big hoorah up in Wisconsin or whatever it was because they had everybody go in to vote.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah.
And so what he's saying is, he says, I don't know if there's going to be any elections this year, even though they're supposed to have it. Maybe not. And you're thinking, well, that means not.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
I'm surprised.
And he says, according to the coronavirus pandemic and the economy, the pandemic and the economy come first. So no elections.
Right.
Until we get those. I thought that. Okay.
Interesting.
The other thing, one of the last things I had here, which we started to talk about it, was the. You did talk about this seed shortages.
The what?
Seed shortages.
Oh no! Before we started, we mentioned it.
Okay, well let me just tell you what's interesting. Seed shortages spread as lockdown Americans turn to growing their own food, which is kind of interesting. First of all, if you go, what's happened is Burpee and some of these other people that sell seeds, apparently they're running out. That's the new hoarding is the seeds. Apparently, if you go into these, when you go into a lot of these stores, they'll have this little turnstile-y thing with all the seeds there, and apparently they're like running. No toilet paper?
Clean.
Yeah,
I saw an advertisement which said, in a serious economic downturn, there's no better currency than heritage seeds.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because when you look at having had a little veggie garden out here before in my poisonous earth, it's interesting because in those little packets you usually get enough for like 20 plants or something. And but what I thought was interesting about this was a couple of things. First of all, they called it Americans are panic hoarding seeds as the coronavirus outbreak confines millions to their homes. So I guess they maybe order them online or something, and then they're going to go out in their garden and plant the seeds. Now, one of the things is that there's a lot of veggie fruits and vegetables and so forth that take only 90 days from planting to harvesting. Even what do you call it? Spices. They take almost no time, like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something. You could, if you do a water thing there.
Oh yeah, I saw a great video about how to grow stuff from your clippings left over from the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because there's a thyme and I don't know, some of these other little things that you put on as coverings for your food or whatever. They take like no time at all. They sprout up there in a week or two. So there's some other decent ones that should take about 90 days. And then there's some others, some melons and stuff that take more than that. But even some of the bad ones, I mean, other than something like asparagus, which takes 3 years, well, basically the problem is it grows up the first time and doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and then it has to reseed itself or something, and next year maybe, and then I don't know, whatever. But a lot of them, they take a little longer than that. But the point is, we're talking about 3 to 6 months for food. And if you can wait that long, but of course the coronavirus, if it lasts 3 to 6 months, you're not going to be there to pick the food. I don't know. We'll see. Well, it'll be interesting also, and this is one of the things that happened with the farmers. So, for instance, we have a lemon tree that puts out 1,000 lemons every year, and of course you can't even begin. So what I'm going to do, they're thinking about next year, or maybe could have done it this year, is you take up 10 or 20 of them in a basket and you put them in the front yard, and quarter, 50 cents, $1 each, or whatever you do, but people, who's gonna get them? I mean, that's it's everybody becomes a farmer, and food prices drop to nothing. I've got you think about it, my orange tree out here pumps out this stuff, and the grapefruit tree, holy smokes.
Yeah, but it takes some care and attention, as you know, at times to get.
It does?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes they just grow.
Yeah, they do.
But other times, you got to freaking go out there and talk to the dang plant and everything.
That's true. That's true.
And so I don't think people's yields are going to be in any sustainable level.
How much do you have to have? If you have enough for you and one other person.
Yeah, but the thing is Americans, we're too spoiled. We're used to walking in and going, I think I'll have avocado today. Like, you're not going to...
Well, not only that, you don't want them bruised. I mean, you get, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got a little bruise on it.
Well, exactly. And so, I applaud everybody's effort. I hope the front yard lawn garden thing takes off and booms and everything, but people will be going back to the grocery store.
Well, I thought this, they already are. Mrs. Jimmy goes almost every day. Confines millions of them, crashes the economy. This is the panic hoarding plant seeds. Confines millions to their homes, crashing the economy and disrupting the food supply chain.
Crashing the economy? What?
Yeah, because you're not going to the store.
What is crashing the economy?
The fact that you're growing your own stuff.
Oh.
This is a
Wickard versus Filburn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Too many people growing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Seriously, when I think about my little...
Y'all collecting water?
Yeah, right, exactly. So a Google search of buy seeds has rocketed to an all-time high in March and April. At the same time, supermarket shelves went bare. Americans in quarantine are becoming increasingly concerned about their food security. What has shocked many is the food on the supermarket shelves that existed one day could be wiped out in minutes via panic hoarding. Some people are now trying to restore the comfort of food security by planting, quote, pandemic gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember when I was growing up, seriously.
Freedom Gardens? Liberty Gardens?
It was Freedom. Let's see, what was it? It was a... No, it wasn't Freedom Garden. Those were later. No, it might have been a Liberty Garden. It was interesting because, as you well know, we've talked about this so many times about Wickard v. Filburn, which was where they threw this guy out because he was growing wheat on his own property for his own use, and they said it affected interstate commerce. On the other hand, on the other side of that order was, please grow your own crap in your backyard, and in my backyard we had corn and carrots. I mean, I remember it was we had like, I don't know, 3 or 4 rows of corn and a couple of rows of carrots. This was the Victory Gardens.
That's right.
These were Victory Gardens. So now we've got the pandemic gardens. Yes, and we're gonna do well. So and of course if you try and put it in your front yard, ooh, that's it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. All right. Well, just the last little bit on Biden. Of course, now, I mean, they're all in on him at this point.
Yeah, they really are.
Because now you've got Obama behind him, and I think Warren came out finally.
Did she? Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah, so that's everybody, basically.
Yeah.
So now, I thought they might pull the football on him and throw in Andrew Cuomo or something.
Yeah.
But I don't see how they could do that unless he just absolutely falls on his face.
Well, again, there's always the scream of victory.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would be the only way.
Yeah, and it would have to be like the biggest. Gaffes are already baked into his cake.
Right, that's true.
So I mean, he would have to just.
Well, you think about Trump, for instance, all the stuff that he did and he was accused of and everything.
Right.
That was all baked in. We knew all about it.
Right, exactly. So it's the same kind of thing in reverse. So, who do you think his VP is going to be? Any idea?
No. Klobuchar?
I'm going with Kamala Harris.
Are you?
Yeah, that's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to.
Of course, he's already eliminated half the population in the United States.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing he's probably eliminating white women.
Yeah. Why would you do that? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, why? Now, I don't think Joe will be the one making the call. I think that the handlers
call for anything.
Probably not.
That's one of the things you're reminded the last couple of months of Woodrow Wilson's presidency was run by his wife. Well, the entire presidency of Joe
is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if he makes it. And you got Governor Whitmer out there from Michigan or whatever. Now they're suing her. The residents are suing her to reopen. Because
yes. She was the one that closed everything down.
She's
right?
the one that wouldn't allow the seed sales, wouldn't allow baby seed sales, and these crazy stuff. Like they put up like the store is open, but they can't, like, you can't buy stuff from this section of the store.
Right. It's interesting. I've seen some videos of that where they're roped off, like crime scene.
Yeah.
And
look, here's what I want to point out to everybody: if you haven't figured this out yet. In the United States, you've got rights unless and until you do something. If you do something, they can take your rights away. If you commit a crime, they can lock you up. If you don't do anything, they can't lock you in your house. They can't lock you in your house because you might have coronavirus and might.
What about the ankle thing?
You have to do something to get.
Oh, that's true.
But that's what I'm saying. We've crossed the boundary. Now there's some municipality who's going to put the ankle monitors on people in Indiana or wherever. If you had coronavirus.
Yeah.
Now that at least they were going to test the people first and verify it, and that they at least some tests came back and said, yeah, you're dangerous. But people are out there saying you have to stay locked in your house and wear a mask just in case. And that's not a thing in a free country.
I also wonder of course, one of the things you have is a lot of this is what we call public shaming.
A lot
of that.
That's fine. I don't mind that at all.
But you don't really?
No, because if you
mind your own business.
And that's reverse shaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine too. Those are words. Those are people out on the street saying words.
Yeah,
that's fine. What I'm worried about is a freaking law, an order. We've got an order from the governor. We've got them saying they're going to enforce the order.
Yeah,
and
of course
jail people.
You have to understand the word force is in there.
Right. Well, and how are you going to enforce it when you're letting people out of the jails left and right? The more reports of thousands of people being released from the jails, and anecdotal reports about some reoffending.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think that the overall message is most of those people didn't need to be in jail.
Right. That's and that's another thing we're seeing is that a lot of the stuff that way people are adapting. It may turn out, like I say, it may turn out that the new normal is going to shift slightly.
Well, it definitely will, and I'm hoping that's one of the places that will.
Yeah.
We have all these temporary detentions for bullshit crimes that
Well, not only that, there's other stuff where people are having to take care of themselves in some arena where they didn't have to do it before, and they're finding, well, it's not that bad.
Right. Well, the at-home work thing, and the licensing restrictions that go along with all kinds of stuff. I mean, office is going to the concept of the office may undergo a revolution in some way. Another thing that is good to come out of this is the questioning of the experts. The concept that experts can be diametrically opposed to one another.
They are not only that; they all have their studies that show it up, and that's I've seen that on. I had pulled one up here, and I was going to show it that these two experts were diametrically opposed,
And we had experts early on saying don't wear masks.
Oh yeah.
We had
there was a lady in New York, politician lady, who said go out and have a good time.
She was a CDC person.
Yeah.
We had our rulers saying come down to Chinatown, going to the gym. Look, you can't you have to take all these things under consideration yourself. And
well, you do one of the things that you just mentioned that I think should come into the word expert has now almost become a pejorative.
Well, I don't think so yet. I still
close.
Think, well,
without naming the expert, I can tell you that. They say, experts say, so okay, which ones are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the way we deal with this in legal arena is the way people should deal with it, which is we trot our expert in there, and he says his stuff, and then you trot your expert in there, and then they say their stuff, and then you make up your own damn mind. The jury decides, the expert doesn't decide at the end, right? You're the jury. So you listen to the experts and then you make up your own damn mind. And I'm hoping that people will begin to question scientific consensus experts and stuff like that, and just don't take what they say on face value. Look, some of them have ulterior motives.
That's the key. That, in a nutshell, is the key.
And I don't
Who's paying them?
Well, and I don't mean negative ulterior motives. I mean positive motives. Their motivation may be, for example,
Greta. Greta has a positive motive.
Well, exactly.
But I mean, it's wrong.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'll bet you that we know that there are doctors out there who are lying to us about certain things so that we behave a certain way.
Right.
And like, for example, they say the masks are no good so that we don't go buy them and take them up for them. That kind of a thing. Or they say, like, I haven't heard a lot about the chloroquine, whatever it is, hydroxychloroquine. Right. And my honest thought is they're telling people who get cured using that, don't say it's a cure because you'll give people too much hope. Which is a medically sound thing to say to a single person. But you don't come out as the CDC center people at the press conference for the White House and say, nah, it's not working. I mean, you give the actual numbers and you let people make up their own damn mind. That's what you do. And we're still being pitched on all sides by the experts. And on that same note, I saw, and this is something which is one of the benefits of the whole coronavirus thing, is we have not heard a damn peep about climate change
in
like 2 months.
No, that's right. That's right.
Well, I saw a study about global warming today that said that their new research totally blows away the CO2 theory, and says that you can determine the surface temperature of a planet with two factors. One is the amount of sunlight that the planet receives, and the second one is the mass of the atmosphere. Apparently, according to these guys, the mass of the atmosphere creates a certain pressure, and that is what holds the heat, not the particular combination of greenhouse gases inside the atmosphere. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, I have no idea whether this is total quackery or whatever, but these guys, apparently, scientists, experts, new opinion.
Yeah.
Got to take it into account.
Well, the thing I like about it is I saw another one where they found yet another Earth-like planet. It's a mere, 20 light years away. Mm-hmm. I mean, pack your bags, boys, because we're gonna get off this planet if they screw it up, and go to that one now. So
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think so,
just thought I mean, they're finding Earth-like planets all over the place.
Yeah, whenever they do that, all they're really saying is it's within the Goldilocks range.
I know that, but they're doing some more research. They're finding out also how much water there is in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
they're actually examining the atmosphere pretty.
I know.
Pretty thick. What is interesting to me is when you stand off from our planet, say to the moon or something, and you take a picture of the Earth, the atmosphere is paper thin.
Right.
I mean paper thin. Gossamer is what
film.
protects us from everything. It's just because we're sitting here and you're thinking, well, the atmosphere goes up 100 miles. No, it may, but that's like nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm laughing.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. That is about it, right?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yep, me too. See if anybody joined us. Hey, Kenny, how are you? Good to see you, sir. Hope you had some fun. We had a little.
Had a few laughs.
That's right. We'll be back in a few days on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, right here. Thank you, Kevin McLeod, for these tracks. We appreciate it. And we will see you soon.